as cliche as it sounds, I feel like bigger artists have like such a big impact on like the youth, and when they're sitting here rapping about money, you know what I'm saying, intimacy and that sort, and just like, just this quick need, it kind of makes people feel like, oh, I can do it too, which I mean, it's understandable, but it's also like, it just puts this view on relationships, and like not only relationships but just everything else in life, like getting quick money and not putting work in and all this other stuff. Like I feel like it can tend to make everyone think that that's as accessible as it seems.
Now is the time to free your mind and express yourself. Welcome to the very first episode of The Creative Yard, where your creative journey begins. I'm your host, Ayrianna, and welcome to the pod. And I just want to start off by saying it is always a rewarding feeling when an idea like this one can be brought to life. This is something that we've been working on for a little while, and I'm so excited for it to finally be in the works and be put out there for some people to be listening. In this episode, I was a little shaky in the beginning, but in a good way, because it's a special episode. It's a Valentine's Day special, and who doesn't love Valentine's Day? Now, it may not be everyone's cup of tea, but even if you don't enjoy the holiday, there is love all around us, but we'll be exploring the musical expression of that feeling today. Along with this episode, there is a curated playlist of some classic love songs and some new ones, and you will also find our special guests' work on there. With or without a Valentine, these songs are sure to remind you of what the season is all about. In this episode of The Creative Yard, we will be joined by special guest Nalini Oku. And I'm so excited to have this special guest with us here today. Nalini, please introduce yourself to anyone who's tuning in.
Hello, I'm Nalini Oku, as she said. I'm an artist here at IU Wilmington. I'm a sophomore studying film production. And yeah, I guess people would say it's R&B and like soul and all that. And I also do poetry, used to do dance, don't do it no more. And I'm just like, all over there in the creative field, I guess you could say.
A jack of all trades, for real. Yeah, I was interested in your music because it does give like neo soul. I get like very much, calm vibes from your music. You talk about heartbreak, love stories, and like redemption. So we're going to dive all into that today. So first off, again, thank you for joining us, and it's a pleasure to have you. And we're going to hop right in. So can you talk a little bit about your journey into music?
So, I guess I've always sung. Like, when I was younger, I was in choir, and I think that was like early elementary. I really don't know how far back. And then middle school, I did choir. High school, I did choir once because I moved to Indy like when I was a sophomore. And so I started doing choir my senior year. And then I guess where it really started for me in terms of actually making music was junior year. It was junior year of high school. I had a class with Mr. Fraley at BD, and it was mass media. And so in mass media, like we make projects, and it's like music, film, and all this other stuff. And I realized that was my favorite class. And we had a project where we were supposed to make songs. And so I guess I made music, and then I showed the class. They all really liked it. He said he really liked it. And then he showed me an artist named No Name, who I would say I kind of like try to not mimic her music for a minute, but it was like somebody I was inspired by. And I dived deeper into her. I've heard of her before, but like he made me sit there and watch her and like listen to how, she performs and all that. So then I just really realized like this is something I really like doing. It just became something I like expressing myself through.
And that was the first time, was it like a first time you discovered like, oh, I can sing? Was it something you were always into?
It's always been something I guess I've always been into. Like, I've always enjoyed singing, but it was like, I wouldn't say a sense of validation from everybody else, but it was more like people enjoy what I'm making just as much as I like, and like I enjoy, making it. So it was just a realization for me, like this is something I could actually turn into something, like it was something I could work on.
Right. That's always like a rewarding feeling when you like create something, you find you're good at it, and then other people are like, yeah, you are kind of good at that. And you're like, yeah, I'm gonna keep doing it because I like it.
Mm-hmm. It's a sense of support.
Yes. So when you were creating like your projects along the way, who else was serving as your inspiration, or has it changed from No Name?
I listen to a lot of music, like different varieties. I also have a tendency to like stay on the same song. So I had a long Lauryn Hill phase. It's not a phase, actually. Let me be honest. It's not a phase. It's still going. But Lauryn Hill is somebody that like, because also she has like a raspiness to her voice, and she's not afraid to sing still. And I think I also have that raspiness. Like I can't always sing the softest note. So sometimes I get afraid of singing. But like with her, she's not afraid to do so. And also just like her lyricism, like how she writes, how she expresses herself, the topics she writes on. So I would say Lauryn Hill has always been one of my main inspirations. And then like I said, No Name, I've been listening. I had a phase too where I was listening to a lot of Chance the Rapper. It was just very random, but like I feel like he has a lot of good, like his lyricism, like he's really good at writing. I don't really know. I think I pick and pull from different artists and genres, and it's, you know, it's always just a blessing to like find other people who can like get my creative flow going. So
exactly. For Lauryn Hill in specific, she does a lot of like, she raps and sings. And like, I find that to be the most interesting type of music to listen to because it's not just like one dimensional. So in those types of songs, do you find any of those techniques and flows? Even you write poetry as well. And that's kind of like rap. So do those songs like influence how you perform them, or how does your writing techniques flow into those?
First, yeah, that's my favorite like type of songs. Even with one of the songs that I put out recently, I realized I think that's what I did that, where it's like I went from rap and it started with singing into like a rap and flow. But I feel like when it comes to songs like that, one, is my favorite, but number two, it's easier for me to get into that flow. I don't feel like strict or like structured to do so. And then performance-wise, it's kind of difficult. I don't really think I've ever performed a song like that. And I feel like just having to switch into flows would be really hard. And also having to remember that many lyrics, because I think it's a lot more. But it kind of can be nerve-wracking in the idea of it, because like, I don't think I could. I mean, I can, obviously. I feel like you can do whatever you put your mind to, but having to do something like that, I haven't done it. Sounds kind of like nerve-wracking, so.
I think one day you should try it. I feel like you could really like flow into it. You got the vibe.
Hey, catch me at some.
So how do you view performing? Is that like something you favor, or?
I love it, but also, so like people can't even tell I'm shaking up there. Like you would not be able to notice my legs and hands are shaking. But then once I get into it, it's like, okay, everybody's out. It's really how I prepare myself beforehand. But regardless of whether or not I enjoy it, and I feel like for any artist, I feel like it's something you have to get over and realize this is something I have to do, and it comes with the routine and just the process of, you know, making music. But now I genuinely enjoy and just like seeing everybody's reactions after, especially if it's something that I have planned already. Like, okay, I know that they're gonna like be like, damn, I caught that. I enjoy it though. It's really difficult to put that with the fact that I do love, you know, performance. So it's a mix. Like.
Exactly. I seen you perform. It was at I think it was the ASA benefit dinner. And I can't tell that you're shaking or nothing like that, but I can definitely see how nerve-wracking that could be because there's so many people. And it's like, it's something you created. So it's just like, these people are listening, they're watching, they're judging, whether good or bad, you know? So
it's subjective.
It is. But I think the most important thing is just like, you make it and you just do it. But talking about that, your music style to me, it's like neo soul. It flows. And one of my favorite songs by you is Tempered Glass. I listened to that and I was like, this the one.
Thank you.
So yeah. And it reminds me, I don't know if you listen to Drake, but it reminds me of that song, Redemption by Drake, if you're familiar.
Oh, thank you.
It reminds, yes, I'm glad you acknowledge it, but it reminds me of that song of like, okay, maybe one day we could work it out. Your song, Tempered Glass.
Okay, that's what I was going for.
Period.
That's what I was going for.
Yeah. It's a relatable song, the lyrics, and it just makes you sit back and like reflect on your on personal experiences. Like I said, the music genres of like R&B, hip hop, and even some pop songs by Black artists that deal with love, they kind of all intersect and makes it more multidimensional to listen to. So I want to know specifically from you, because this is my favorite song by you, but what went into the process of writing and producing Tempered Glass? And can you describe that song for the listeners?
So Tempered Glass, like most of my songs, was actually freestyle, like the whole thing. I did it with my brother.
Nice.
He had called me over because I was back home and he produces music, but he don't really produce. Like he knows how to do all that stuff. I don't. So like that's where we like trade, skills. So he called me over. He just told me freestyle on it. I freestyled on it. And then the first playback that I did, I recorded. And then I had posted it on TikTok. And a lot of people liked it. But that song, it's about, I guess you could say, like, realizing that, like, it's never going to happen. But at the same time, it's like, what if there's a chance? What if? What if? Maybe. It was just a freestyle. And then I had wanted to rewrite it. But then I also liked how the original sounded. Because I think I did actually record some parts. But I made that, like, summer. I think last year summer, and I just kept it with me for a minute. And I was like, this is something. And I know I really, really like a song when I replay it in my car a lot, because then I'm like, okay, see, there's a melody to it, and it's catchy. So it's just mostly about how just having this hope for a possibility that you and your partner, I guess, or whoever it is in your life, I really don't feel like it has to be a significant other in terms of like intimacy. I think it could be anybody in your life, just hoping that like there's another chance, but then also realizing there's really not much there left for us to like work on. But I think around that time, it was just reflecting on some situations I had going on, and it was just getting it all out there on the freestyle that I had there. So yeah, that's how it came to be.
That's a beautiful story. And I think it's interesting you said you freestyle. Do you freestyle like a lot of your songs, or that was just that one?
For sure. I have a really bad memory. Like, I can't remember nothing. Like, you could not ask me to remember a song at all. I'll be in the car with my homegirls, and it's like, I'll mess up the lyrics, and I just shut up for the rest of the car, right? Because I can't. But so when it comes to like re-recording songs, it's just more difficult for me to do that than it is just for me to flow off. So most of my songs, they start as freestyles. And then if there's parts that I'm like, okay, I could work better at this, I'll go back and edit it and re-record it, which actually is what I'm trying to do more now. And then also for like Tempered Glass, I don't know like if people understand the title with it. Tempered Glass is it's like stronger glass, and it takes a lot more to break. It's pretty much saying like you're the only person that like has that space, like that vulnerability that I have with you is not something I have a lot of people. So it's like kind of reflecting on that. But that's how I started off the freestyle. I was like, okay, tempered glass, like vulnerability, being honest with somebody, it's just that one person for you. Yeah, that's pretty much how I go into freestyles. Cause like I just have like a topic in my head, and I'm like, okay, I can flow off this.
Right. And
if it don't work, it don't work. And I just restart.
Exactly. And you touched on the vulnerability you express in your music and it doesn't seem like it's tough for you to express that in your songs. So is that like the main place you express your feelings through your music?
I guess so. I still don't feel like I'm as open with my music as I like to be, because I do see a lot of other artists, and they actually reflect on their situations. I feel like I'm just general about it. You can kind of hear it in my music. Yeah, I would say that. And then probably poetry is probably like where I'm most vulnerable about, because it's like I actually have to sit here and like give examples and like metaphors and all this other stuff, so you can pretty much catch on to how I'm feeling. When it comes to music, I think people just listen to it and they're like, oh, it's just another song. Like she's just trying to, she's just got a topic that she's talking about, but it's not really how she's feeling.
So with that, do you feel like the more experience you gain in life, just in general, you'll be able to express that vulnerability more?
100%. Yeah, I think college, I've experienced a lot more than I did when I was in high school. So now I think I've had more events and situations to like talk about and express through my music. Because before it was like I was writing through other people's perspectives, and now it's like, oh, like this actually happened to me, so I can. And it doesn't give me the sense of imposter syndrome because I've been through it. I don't feel like, oh, like I can't write about that, because I'm not gonna sit here and write about guns and like get money and all that. Not to say I don't get money, but like, I'm talking about like all these things that rappers do, because that's not my lifestyle. I can't sit here and rap about things that aren't me. It's not me. And it makes me feel like, damn, like I'm kind of fake for this. But since I've been through this stuff, like I can sit here and be like, hey, that's my experience. I own it. Like that's my story to tell.
Yeah. And I think that's like, again, the most beautiful type of music to me. I find that to be enjoyable. Like there's times, we outside, we want to listen to Sexy Red, but like, am I really living that life on a daily basis? No. So, but moving on, you mentioned you collaborate with your brother. Do you collaborate with other artists or any artists you look forward to collaborating with in the future?
My brother, we don't really put a song out. It's just like a little like side hobby for him. But there are a couple of people here at IU actually. There's Jeremiah and then there's Ade. So Ade is an artist himself. Jeremiah produces beats, and all three of us are working on something. I'm working on something with both of them. Ade, me and him are already recording and stuff. We're still trying to figure out how that's gonna go, but I'm really excited for the song that me and him have worked on. I think it's like, and I haven't had the best experience with like collabs, I guess you could say. But with this song, I confidently feel like it's like actually going to be one of my favorite songs in terms of like what I've made with somebody. And then Jeremiah, he's been helping me a lot with recording overall, because there's certain things that I don't understand and I don't get. For me, it's just like everything that comes from my mind. He has all these skills and like tips and tricks for like making my sound better, and also like, just writing overall. He's helping me with a lot of different things. So I'm excited with that. And then there's this one specific artist I can't really say yet, but he's doing pretty good right now actually. But we have been talking about like doing something together. And so yeah, that's postponed for now.
That's exciting. Don't give too many gems away. We can't wait to tune in. I definitely will be listening. But let's talk more so about your poems. So talk about how you got into poetry, first of all.
So poetry, I have I've always been somebody who just recognizes patterns. Like I love patterns like in anything. So when I was younger, I think that's like I said, with music, it's kind of hard for me to remember unless it's a repetitive lyric or something like that. But when it comes to poetry, it's easier for me because it's like similes and metaphors and all that. So it was just always easier for me to recognize patterns within poetry. I think it was middle school, I believe. Middle school, I've always liked fairy tales and all that, when they have like the rhymes and all that since I was like little. But middle school, we had been watching TED Talks. I loved how everything flowed, and I was like, I want to do this. So then I told my teacher, and she told me about this Aptly publishing book. And so I started writing for that. I got my poem published in there, but it was like a mix of like different poems. So it wasn't nothing big, but at the same time, I was like, hey, I did it. Like I did something little, you know what I'm saying? Still working it. So I kept writing after that. But poetry, it's just been I think poetry is in everything. And it's just, in my opinion, I think it's the best art form. I think it's the most expressive art form, and it's something that it's in everything. Music is poetry, art is poetry, patterns is what we as humans recognize the most. So it's it just became something that I got comfortable with and started, expressing myself through.
I want to know more about, I definitely enjoy TED Talks as well. I want to know more about what was that episode that kind of ignited that interest?
There's this TED Talk. I don't know if y'all know, I think it's called Paper People. The way he flips back and forth through those words, and also alliteration, I think is what it's called. I should know more about this, you know what I'm saying? I do poems, but using the same first letter for each word, afterwards, it's just so enticing. I actually pay attention. So those two, and then also stand-up poetry. Is that what it's called? Stand poetry? Why am I yeah. So stand poetry, slam poetry, that's one of my favorites too. So I was watching so many of those. I don't really have a specific, but slam poetry, it's just your performance, theater, but at the same time you got, your poem, and it's captivating in my opinion. I don't know, I love that.
Right. What was that TED Talk episode about?
Paper People was a reflection on how society works. So he was just going into capitalism, but it's that's the thing, you can tell he was telling a story that's way more detailed, but it just felt like it was just flowing. You just listen to it and you're it's easy to take in because of how he performed it and how he wrote it. But I would say the flow of it kind of reminds me of the poem I did at ASA, because he just bounces back and forth with the words that he uses in his poem.
Right. Can you talk about that poem just a little bit, the one you did at ASA?
So the poem I did at ASA, it was a poem on just relationships, especially in modern day age, and just how I feel it's just about timing and realizing what you have before you lose it. If you don't care for his feelings, if you don't buy her flowers now, it was just really just reflecting on what matters in relationships and what we have to focus on and where we lack. And it's also just about insecurities, because it's if I don't keep you in my life, who's going to keep me insecure? So it's pretty much a reflection on how somebody treats you and what you deserve. But I think it can be taken in a lot of different ways, because I have asked people people have told me what they thought of it, and they're some people are I don't understand it, and I'm okay, well that's okay. But yeah, so it's just really a reflection on relationships and insecurities and push and pull and attachment styles, I guess you could also say.
Right. So do you have these conversations with just your friends only? Or do you seek guidance on the topics that you write about from older mentors, maybe to gain more wisdom? But how is that experience for you when you get those opinions back on your creative work?
I get creative responses. I have like older mentors, so like people from my high school that also had worked on music, and like I can go to them and ask them what they feel like about it, or they'll just come to me and tell me like, oh, I like this part, or I like this piece. And then with my friends give me a lot of feedback. And then there's specific people that I'll like send my music to before I even put it out or anything, and I'll like ask them how do they feel about it. Which again, I'm also thinking about it more often, and I'm like, I should stop doing that, because it's like other people's opinions shouldn't alter how I feel about putting music out. Tyler, the Creator, actually goes in depth about this in the interview he did, but just having that fear of like, you know, pushing music out because of other people's opinions. But like my friends will like come to me and they'll let me know like, oh, I like this part. If they really like a song, they'll let me know, or I'll know they like the song because they'll be around me like just singing it. I'm like, wait, that's me, like I made that. So it's like, it's always just like a great feeling. But I usually get feedback from whoever. Also like on social media, I'll let people know feedback is appreciated. So like they'll comment under my posts and all that and let me know how they feel about it.
Have you ever received any opinions that's like made you second guess your work?
I mean, I guess you could say that. I don't think I've gotten anything that's like, oh, this is bad, like stop making music, drop the mic, put the headphones down. But I would say there's some times where like I'll make a song, I really like how it sounds, and then I'll show somebody, and this goes into the topic, you know, like getting validation from other people, which, you know, you shouldn't feel the need to, which I don't think it's that for me. It's just more like a second opinion, because sometimes we're so stuck in our views and like what we listen to that it's like, does this even sound good? But I've sent my songs to certain people and I'm like, okay, this is finished, this is it, and they'll be like, well, you know, this part of the song, I'm just like, but like I also have to realize not everybody listens to the same songs or same music. Like I don't know why we expect everybody to enjoy the same stuff, and it's okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Like it's fine.
That's real. What other genres do you listen to outside of R&B?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know the titles of it, but I actually really do like country.
Nice. Did you stream Cowboy Carter?
Not all the way through. Which, you know, I have a friend that's like obsessed with Beyonce, so she probably get on me about that. But yeah, like it's just whatever songs I find. I had like a really long phase of listening to the Smiths during the summer. I don't know.
The Smiths?
Yeah.
Who's that?
The Smiths. Have you watched 500 Days of Summer?
I haven't, but I've heard.
You need to watch that. Okay. That's
What's
really
it on? Put me on.
Let me find out. But yeah, 500 Days of Summer is a movie. And it's pretty much just like reflecting on like this romance, which is also an inspiration for me, but it's also a reflection for me because like it's a big part of like when I think about love and just like unrequited love, I guess I could say 500 Days of Summer is a movie that I go back to a lot. But yeah, that song, The Smiths, is played a lot in there. It's a big reference in the movie. It makes a lot of what the movie's about. So if anybody hasn't listened to The Smiths, you know what I'm saying? That's a good one. Y'all should go listen to that.
Gotta tap in. So, are there any, like, movies that you're really into as far as romance movies? I feel like that's not, like, a common one, but I don't know. Let me know.
So, I watch so many rom-coms. It's actually a problem. If anybody needs recommendations, I'm the go-to person. But there's still a lot that I haven't watched. I have a long list of them. But one that I rewatched recently was Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, I believe. I might be saying that wrong, but if y'all search it up regardless, it'll come up. But this movie I think is now like my favorite rom-com. It's not a rom-com, whoa, it's damn near a horror movie, like it's heartbreaking. But yeah, so it's about these two lovers who meet, and then it's like over time one of them wants to forget about the other because of how difficult the relationship is, and so there's like a clinic or whatever that like erases your memories, and one of them decides to, but then they realize throughout the movie it just helps them reflect on their childhood issues and what makes them the way they are. So one of the characters, he's an avoidant, and for the avoidant you just realize that later on, like early on in his childhood, he had a lot of stuff with his mother that like affected how he is now as a grown adult, and she had a lot of issues when she was younger that made her who she is now, which like she always needs somebody around her, and it's like, oh, I need to see my man, like I need to be with him all the time. But with him it's like, I need some space, like you're like suffocating me right now, like because of the fact that when he was younger he didn't get that attention. So it's just over time it ends up beautifully. It's just like, it's really one of my favorite movies. Like I love that movie so much, and the writing's amazing. I
might have to tap in because it sounds real. I feel like I don't really get into rom-coms because they just seem so unrealistic, at least the ones that I've seen, and I've seen very little. But yeah, that sounds more so like on the realms of like realism.
Yeah, I would say it is more, but it's like still like, where are they erasing memories at? You know, it's just
Right. I think we all wish we could do that. For some things, but it's okay. We're human. We got to live with some things. But have you ever seen The Notebook?
I have too many times. Oh my goodness.
Oh wow. I've never seen it.
Never?
No.
Girl, you need to
I told you I'm not into like the rom-coms, but like I don't know, it's Valentine's Day season, so maybe I might start watching.
Notebook. Oh Lord, like that. You know that meme where like he says, I mean, you wouldn't because you didn't watch it, but like there's like
I might know.
There's like the meme of him just waiting in front of the house on the newspaper, the photo from the newspaper.
Nah, I'm definitely untouched, but I'll find the picture, I'll find the meme, and put it somewhere. But let's shift gears a little bit. So as you know, it's a Valentine's Day special. And it's a day where we are all encouraged to express our love for one another, whether it be romantic or platonic, because, you know, there's love within our friends as well. Mm-hmm. So some of our favorite artists are like masters at expressing the full spectrum of emotions related to love. I say this all the time, but my favorite artist is Drake. And like the way he expresses it is... Okay, let me stop. Anyways... From the, because I could go for days.
Hey, I'm here to listen.
But from the joy of new romance to like the pains of heartbreak. So I want to know, do you have a favorite love song?
I don't. I actually don't. I did have a moment during the summer where I was just listening to XO by Beyonce. But it's like, that's not my favorite love song. I don't think I have a favorite love song. I think it switches. Like I said, like I will like focus on a song for like a whole week and not, you know, just listen to that only. But I don't think I do.
That's fair. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's too many.
There's so many. And XO is like, it kind of feels like you're floating.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that song is just like, it's perfect to me. It's like certain songs I'm just like, you couldn't. It's just a perfect song to me. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think there's necessarily a structure for how you can make a perfect song, but I think that song.
Well, I'm glad you said that because that actually leads me to my next question. In your opinion, what makes a good love song?
I would say both production and lyrics. Like, I feel like it's a mix of both. And just like the tone that somebody's singing it. I genuinely feel like you can tell when somebody's feeling some sort of way when they record a song. Like, you can hear it in their voice. And somebody that I feel like does a good job with like lyrics and production is Tyler, the Creator. Especially like in Call Me When You Get Lost, like, and Kanye too. But it's just like making sure that, because the beat is so much of like that feeling that we have. Like, I feel like I could listen to an instrumental and like feel something from it. But when the lyrics match as well, it's really fundamental to like just the overall, you know, like result of the song. So I feel like it's a mix of both. I don't think one or the other. If you want a good one, I would say at least like it has to be both things put in thought and just like processed.
Yeah, Kanye definitely. There's times where I'm like, I felt that. Like, he was mad at Kim. He was mad at Amber. I said, oh my gosh. But I definitely felt that. Have you listened to, I think it's 808s and Heartbreaks?
Yeah, I have. But yeah, no. Yeah, but like Kanye just does an amazing job with production overall, even with the album itself. Like, he knows where to put certain sounds and just like effects and all that to make us feel something. And it's like you said, that feeling of levitating. I could listen, if I could all day, just sit there with my headphones on, just listen to music. I would.
We are very similar in that regard because there's this one song, Hours in Silence, that I can just listen to all day. Like, start of my day, end my day, just listen to it all day. But I feel that music can be an escape for a lot of people. And that's why we listen to it day in and day out for those who, you know, listen to a lot of music. But I always wonder if people study with music or not. I find it hard to concentrate when there's so much noise going on, especially if it's a song I actually like. How about you?
I always have to have music playing in the background. Like, even if I'm just going throughout the day, I'll turn my TV on, just like play whatever song. And then like if I'm leaving the crib, I'll like put my headphones on. I'll switch whatever device I got to. Cause I just like, I always need that like silence in the background. I mean, I need that sound in the background cause it's just too quiet for me. And then sometimes I'll just sit there and I'll listen to a song just because I'm trying to hear what the lyrics are. Like, I could obviously search it up, but it's like I also want to hear how they said it. And that's something I gotta work more on too. Like, just for music overall, I have to sit there and study stuff so I can see like, okay, this works best. Which I don't feel like I do enough right now. But yeah, I think I would say, and I don't really, when it comes to studying, I can't really focus when it's like lyrics with the song. I have to put like classical or like instrumental in the background.
Yeah, that makes sense. Easier to focus. But shifting gears just a little bit, you talked earlier about us being college students and having these experiences in romance. Do you think the music that we listen to, as far as I'll say specifically R&B, hip hop, and pop, do you think that type of music portrays those experiences realistically? Does it dramatize it? What's your opinion on that?
I would say I think it does express it realistically in the sense that like it depends on who's listening to it, because we don't all have the same experiences, like I had said before. But and then also, I mean, there's moments where it's like I think for that person who wrote it, obviously like it's probably realistic for them, but it's like we're not all living that same lifestyle every day. You know what I'm saying? We're not all like pop stars and like we have models with us and all this other stuff, or like dealing with these major heartbreaks. But I feel like the emotion it brings, I would say, is realistic in the feeling that it's supposed to give you. And I think only because it's dramatized in the music, like that's the reason we feel it so much. Like I could sit here and just scream singing like whatever song, like whatever heartbreak song, especially with like Drake song I gotta sing. Obviously it's not like, oh, I feel exactly what he's talking about. Like I'm not actually feeling what he's feeling. It's just like when I'm singing the song, it's like I know that he's feeling a feeling that I could possibly feel, but it's not the same subject or topic matter.
Exactly. Like you said, it is because we're different people, different humans. You can relate to it, but we're not the same. And I think that music reflects more so of those emotions rather than actually making those emotions. But I have noticed, like I just started really listening to R&B, like probably over the last year and a half. And I feel like it's changed over time. Especially like if I think back to like, I'll say, I don't know if you're familiar with like Bobby Brown, those type of artists where they were like yearning for love. Like I need it. Like, ooh, I know I love yearning type music, but like yearning, like I can't go my days without you. And now it's like a focus more on heartbreak. Like for instance, Residuals by Chris Brown. That's a song a lot of people really like. But if you actually listen to those lyrics, that's not a love song. It's not a love song. It sounds good.
Yeah, I feel that too. I listen to a lot of like yearning music. The Smiths is actually yearning too. It's just not, I don't feel like it's just not the same. Like it's like what you would say with Bobby Brown. But we have like switched from this yearning feeling to like quick, it's kind of like instant gratification, not instant gratification, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just like this need to like quickly like, okay, this is the problem we got going on. Yearning is more like, damn, I'm gonna be here for you forever. Like I'm waiting. But yeah, I've definitely realized that. That's why I like to go back and listen to older music too, because it's like we don't really have a lot of that now. And I think it's kind of harder to make that music though, because it's like it's also a reflection of our society now and like relationships now, because now it's like with social media and just how quickly we can like connect with each other. It's not really this feeling of like forever versus back then when our parents, I want to say my parents because my parents aren't from here, but back then when like the past few generations or the past generations before that, they had this ability to just like, they didn't have phones, so it's like if they wanted to get a message to each other, they had to see each other. It was this quick little chat. It was something you had to like actually intentionally put effort and work into.
Yes, there's definitely been a shift in our society, and I just think that's an natural way that society works. Do you think these genres, I'll talk specifically about like hip hop and rap, why do you think those things have like kind of affected, or if you think at all they've affected, I'll keep it in our generation because that's all we really know. Why do you think that's affected us, or if they have or not?
As cliche as it sounds, I feel like bigger artists have like such a big impact on like the youth, and when they're sitting here rapping about money, you know what I'm saying, intimacy and that sort, and just like just this quick need, it kind of makes people feel like, oh, I can do it too, which I mean it's understandable, but it's also like it just puts this view on relationships, and like not only relationships but just everything else in life, like getting quick money and not putting work in and all this other stuff. Like I feel like it can tend to make everyone think that that's as accessible as it seems. So I would say it's sort of like put that effect on our, I guess, just the youth overall. Kids are very like, they take everything in. They don't really divide what's right and what's wrong. And it's not saying not all hip hop is like that either. Like there's a lot of good hip hop, but it's just a lot of what is pushed out there isn't always the most positive, but it's nothing wrong with that. It's more of so who's listening to it and who's taking it in.
Right. And we talked about this earlier, but it's more so a reflection, not necessarily making our society that way. And you touched a little bit about impact. Do you see the impact in your own music?
I've put my music out on TikTok and like people will come and be like, oh my God, I love this. Or they'll be like, this just made me, this reflect, like somebody texted me, I think a while ago, and they're like, this made me reflect on a relationship I had. And I'm like, that's great. Like this is what I'm doing it for. Like I'm, and it's not only the reason I'm doing it for, but it's like, but it's just a big part of like why I even start, or like, it's to express myself, but then also see that other people also, they like relate to me when I say that. It's like, I know that I'm putting my message out there in a right way. I would say it's starting. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get there though. Like we're definitely going to get there. It's a process.
Exactly. It's definitely a process and it's a journey. And I'm just glad we like get to talk about these journeys, especially at this like level in our lives. So obviously it's been great having you here. We're coming to an end, but before we leave, what are you most excited about? Any future projects you can share? I know you touched on some earlier, but any you can officially share?
I'm working on a couple songs right now, to be specific. I really don't know the names for it right now, so it's postponed. There are some songs that I put out on my TikTok and also my Instagram that people really liked and asked me to put out, but I haven't done so. But I'm working on those too. And then again, this song with Ade, I really don't know how whatever he wants to do with it, that's his decision. But it's a song that I'm really, really, I think people are gonna like, especially because I feel like our voices mix together so well. And then me and Jeremiah, like I said, are working on I think it's like 2 songs now that we've started. And yeah, those I'm excited for as well. And then so for Tempered Glass, we're planning on doing like a visual, like little music video sort of thing. So I'm excited for that. Just really just trying to like focus on my craft and just promote as much as possible. Just like let people know that, this is me, this is what I do.
Exactly. And stand on it. So where can people find you, Nalini?
So social media wise, y'all can find me Nalini Oku on all platforms. And then music wise, Nalini Oku on all platforms.
So thank you so much for stepping into the Creative Yard, this being our first episode. We made it to the end.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm very Yes, thanks for coming. And thank you to the listeners who made it this far in the episode. You can check us out on Spotify and YouTube. And be sure to check out Nalini on all her socials and give her music a listen if you haven't already. All of the information will be linked in the description. Again, Nalini, you were such a pleasure to have on this episode. And yeah, bye everyone.